Hello and welcome to Bookworms. It's the show where we read a book and talk about that book now in its third season. I'm your host, Alex.
And I'm Joe.
How you doing, Joe?
Fantastic, Alex.
Excellent. Happy February.
Is that what month it is now?
It is. It
Okay.
sure is. We're definitely not recording this in mid-December.
Oh, I thought it was like January by now, but okay.
No. The finale of season 2 was in January.
Yeah, in November.
Yeah, we recorded in November. Yeah, we are on top of things. We're getting ahead of the game. New season, new look, new book.
Yeah. Alex, as tradition has held, Alex gets to pick the first book, so I get to pick the finale so that we actually end on a high note instead of starting on the low note that we are starting here today, Alex.
Yeah, I really know how to pick them. Like, the first book we ever did was my choice with Anansi Boys. I felt like that was a solid one.
It was a solid one, but it was a bad episode because it was our first episode ever, so don't go listen to it.
Yeah, it was unlistenable, but
the book is great. The author, not so much. The show, not so much.
Was there a show for Anansi Boys?
I meant our show.
Oh, our show. Okay. So I have to say, if there was going to be a show, there probably isn't going to be one anymore.
Yeah, no, it's but what was your season 2?
It was American Dream.
Yeah, that was a
rough way to start it, and this one is a way to start it. We'll call it
another dud.
Yeah. I took a shot on a book. All right, this was a shot in the dark.
So far, Alex, your shots in the dark haven't really worked out for you, have they?
Yeah, the only book that I did sight unseen was an author I had read before and was pretty sure. I mean,
what book was that?
That was Gone Baby Gone.
That was a good one.
Yeah, but I had already read a bunch of the Kenzie and Gennaro books, and I knew that book was going to be good. However, I thought the Poppy War was going to be good, and I'd never read that one before, and woof, that was one of our worst books. And this one is
not one of the worst books.
Yeah, this one is an author I've read before. Like R.F. Kuang, I never ever touched her stuff before, and never will again. But this one is an author I've read before, someone who captivated me in my childhood, and boy, oh boy.
Yeah, Robert Galbraith.
Yeah, Robert Galbraith.
Is a good child storyteller.
Yes. The book opening up this season is The Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith, a British writer. This is a mystery book. Very long-winded mystery book.
Yeah, very long-winded. Probably about 150 pages too long.
Yeah, I was thinking that exact number. I'm like, this needs to be a 300-page book. Like, this would be a very tight 300-page book. But he or she, as you may call it.
Here's a question. Is kind of giving away the real author's name. Because this author used a male's name, does that mean they're transgender?
Oh, God. All right, we're cutting that one out. Fancy saying that. She actually, her original published author name, which she shortened to just her initials, that's actually a very common practice for female authors to do because it degenders them, because male readers are more likely to read male writers. So having she shortened her name to J.K. So that
she stole my initials. Damn it!
Yeah, her name's Jacqueline, I think, is her full name. But Robert Galbraith is none other than probably the most famous living children's author currently, and that is J.K. Rowling.
Yeah,
author of Harry Potter.
You don't say. I didn't.
Yes.
I thought those were just movies.
Did she write the screenplays or what? She published spoilers to the movies? What?
She wrote the reviews for the movies?
Yes, also author of The Christmas Pig and The Ichabod and Casual Vacancy. But yeah, she probably the last author who's ever going to achieve billionaire status, and someone who
I won't say she'll be the last one, but it'll be a long time before someone else matches what she did or Stephen King has done.
Yeah, Stephen King, also an author who uses a pseudonym sometimes. He's probably the most famous, got the most famous pen name of Richard Bachman. We published the books like The Running Man and Thinner under that name. That's a well-known one. A lot of authors will do that for a number of reasons. They'll change their name and publish separately, whether it's I'm not sure why J.K. Rowling published under Robert Galbraith. I think it was mostly because she wanted to publish adult-oriented books.
Yeah, I think her name is ubiquitous with the Harry Potter world, so going outside of that would have been, I think, a tough sell for her audience. So I don't disagree with her doing this to just break away, because didn't she do another book that was kind of outside the genre and it just got slammed?
Yeah, she did. Casual Vacancy was a mystery that she published under her normal name.
Yeah, I think I read it and it was meh at best, but it said, but people just slammed her, and so I understand why she'd want to do a different name and try to just get away from that overshadowing of her major hits.
Yeah, and like Harry Potter, it's got a vast worldwide appeal. Like, appeals to children, appeals to adults. Like, it was published over a 10, 12-year span or whatever. So, like, the kids that were reading it in 2000 were adults by the time the last book came out, and still avid readers. It's the last great literary phenomenon to sweep the entire world. I mean, we have books that, they're notable, like Hunger Games or Twilight or what do you call it, Divergent, or even 50 Shades of Grey, but Harry Potter is leaps and bounds above that.
Like, we get a bunch of YA, then we get erotica.
Yeah. You can't deny that 50 Shades, though, was like a massive hit.
Yes, it did have its moment in the spotlight.
No, yeah. Much like Twilight too. I feel like Twilight fandom's really come down.
Yeah, well, but I think those people have gotten old enough to realize how poorly those were written. Like, they still enjoy the idea of the story, but they when they go back to read it now as adults, they're like, ooh, this is a little cringy.
Yeah, and like, even though J.K. Rowling's I think less popular these days for voicing some opinions that she really had no business talking about, like, Harry Potter is still, like, I don't know, it's the gold standard of children's literature. It's like, it's still widely read, it's celebrated. There's entire theme parks devoted to that is being rebooted for television. It's like, it's a massive product that she put out and is still widely loved even 25 years later, and she's not the person everyone thought she was.
They never are, Alex. They never are.
Don't meet your heroes, and definitely don't read their tweets.
Okay. Well, I will avoid you then, Alex.
Yeah. Don't worry about my tweets. They are non-existent.
That's because you've been banned again?
Yes, yeah. Let's focus on the Cuckoo's Calling, though.
Yeah, so, we are getting a little off topic here.
Beloved children's author J.K. Rowling has published a mystery novel under the name Robert Galbraith for whatever reason, whatever she wanted to see if she could. Authors will do this so they can replicate their success, so they can get around publishing contracts that limit them to one book a year, or again to go out of brand and publish something in a different genre. So it's a possible combination of all those reasons, different reasons. I'm not inside her head. I don't want to be. But for whatever reason, she published The Cuckoo's Calling, a book that is a mystery featuring the highly realistic name of private detective Cormoran Strike.
So, help me out on this, Alex. I know all these noir, hard-boiled mystery writers want that one character that's just memorable. They're really getting desperate for names, I feel like.
Yeah, I would say so.
Like Cormoran Strike, it's just, I don't like it.
Yeah, it's not the best name.
I think you could come up with a better name here. It's a little bit more off the roll of the tongue.
Like Sam Spade. That was a good name.
Yeah. But even some of the more modern ones, like the Tom Clancy characters, or a lot of those, like even the James Bond. I mean, so there's a lot of these names that combos of first last names that are just roll off the tongue. Very catchy. Alex's focus on playing solitaire, I think.
I'm doing all of the excitement of Googling what cormoran is in show research. So cormoran is a giant associated with St. Michael's Mount in the folklore of Cornwall. So that's probably where the name came from.
Probably, yeah.
Considering that Cormoran Strike is a very large man in the book.
Very true.
Very large, very hairy man. It's very detailed about how hairy he is.
Yeah, and it gets brought up multiple times.
Very detailed about
I started
his
thinking that
body
J.K.
hair.
Rowling has a thing for hairy men.
I was about to say, like, this very hairy men with dad bods that are incredibly tall.
And one-legged.
Yeah.
Just from the knee down, though.
Yeah. He's like 6'5", but with his shoes on, he's like 6'7". All right, I'm cutting that out. Anyway.
Anyways, so I thought the story starts off, actually, I thought, pretty good. You had a little bit of tension. You had a girl supposedly falling off, jumping off, or being pushed off a third-story building and dying.
Yes,
you have
Landry.
You have the old cop and the young cop, kind of like the old priest and the young priest. The old cop is this bitter old war dog that says, "Yeah, suicide. Get rid of all these reporters," because the woman that dies turns out is a famous supermodel, and they're all there because she lives there. And then on top of it, a famous rapper is supposed to be visiting that or staying at that apartment complex. The young cop, who is just adoring the photo op of walking around, at least as far as this cop is concerned, says, "I think this is a murder. Seems awfully fishy." But because he's the rookie on the thing, he gets kind of pushed down, and we go into the main story. So I said, decent start to a, kind of like, okay, there's something going on here.
Yeah, so it's Lula Landry, a famous supermodel, supposedly dies by suicide, jumping off a high-rise balcony.
Third story, mind you. So, I mean, she probably could have lived if it was an accident.
Yeah. However, she perishes. She's a highly public figure in London, and she is well renowned for both her beauty and her, I guess, mental instability. She's had a very highly publicized mental health crisis throughout her whole life, struggling with depression and anxiety, and it's one of those kind of locked door mysteries. So, like, she was supposedly alone in her room in a secure, we call them penthouse suite. So there's no possible way anyone could have gotten in or out.
The locked room kind of thing.
Yeah. So it's chalked up to suicide, and it's left at that.
Yeah, and basically media attention goes away, whatever. So we get into the main story, and I noticed pretty quickly all the chapter headings have quotes, and I believe it's Latin. Is that right, Alex?
Yeah, I didn't check the language, but yeah, it's probably Latin.
It was either Latin or maybe Spanish.
Yeah, it's divided into 5 parts, and each part has a quote.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure if you had looked into it, like what they represent or anything. I know that they have the translation in English, and they're, I think, relatively famous sayings. Alex is looking at it now, trying to refresh himself.
Yeah.
Throwing a curveball here.
Yeah, like part 1, for in every ill turn of fortune, the most unhappy sort of unfortunate man is the one who has been happy. So it's kind of sets the tone, I guess, of the book with just, there's people that are going to be struggling with unhappiness after experiencing certain levels of joy in their life, and we kind of see that with almost every character we meet. The first character we're introduced to is Robin.
Yeah, he was newly engaged, on cloud 9. Kind of disappointed that she had to move to London because she's a total country girl, but her fiance is a city boy, and she's totally ready to move wherever he needs to move to, but she's looking for a job, working for a temp agency, and they are sending her to this weird address. And she's kind of excited because she realizes this is a private detective, and she's always wanted to do that kind of work.
Yep, so she's excited, and she opens the door. A lady comes out, storming out, and then like slams the door, and then she goes up to the door again. It flies open,
and this giant of a man grabs her by the boob.
Yep, she knocks her down. She's about to fall down the stairs. He just reaches out to grab her, grabs her by the boob. He saves her, but it's a whole really awkward meet cute.
Yeah, and we find that's where we meet Cormoran Strike, and he is a mess.
Yeah, he is. It opens very like slapstick comedy before turning on the mystery, because that whole scene is very funny. It's a weird turn because the prologue is very serious, as it's talking about someone who died and setting up the story proper, and then it cuts to a humorous scene that brings Robin and Cormoran together almost immediately because they have this weird connection right from the start.
Yeah, if I grabbed Alex by the boob, we'd have this weird connection. Yeah, right from the start, right, Alex?
Is that what happened when I was born?
That's what happened. Yeah, just
okay.
Gave it a nice little titty twister, and
all right, we're cutting that out.
Anyways, I have to admit, Alex, I was a little disappointed with this part. I thought it was kind of bland and boring for a J.K. Rowling style. And I guess she's trying not to write her style that we're used to Harry Potter, but I haven't read a ton of noirs or hard-boiled mysteries, but the ones I have read, usually the introduction to your main protagonist a little bit more interesting, a little bit more mystery, a little bit more something, just oomph to them. And this was just kind of like naive, bouncing young woman right into the hard-boiled, down on his luck guy that it's a mystery, but we kind of know where it's going to go.
Yeah, there's immediate like romantic tension between the two, and like Cormoran, he's a hot mess to start with, but it's sort of one of those red herrings where he's actually very competent. He's just in a point in his life where he's down on his luck, kind of deal, and that kind of sets up the whole plot line of why he was chosen to investigate the case to begin with.
And I remember, when you were asking me, I started reading this before you did, and I was saying I was kind of disappointed, and you started, like, I don't know what you're talking about. So did you like that? You like that opening scene?
I did like that opening. I wish that had been more of the tone of the book, because Rowling, with the hit Harry Potter series, she was able to really tie in mystery, drama, action, humor, and tie it all together into a very cohesive note. This starts on a humorous note, but then the humor doesn't really go anywhere. It just turns into interviews in restaurants for the longest time, and very bland characterizations of all the witnesses and people of interest that Cormoran interviews. So it's not I don't know, just kind of I like the setup. I like this part. I wish it had been more consistent throughout.
Basically, Strike doesn't have enough money to really pay this young woman, even though he thought he had canceled the temp agency sending people at him. The last woman that left, he was behind on paying her. He's behind on all these other bills, and he's being harassed by debt collectors. And he's just his fiance and him just broke up, and he's living in his office, but doesn't want to tell anybody, including Robin, even though he's clearly living in there because he's got a bed in there. And
yeah, he's just moved into his office because he decided to dump his fiance.
Yeah,
I guess
fiance, and it's not really clear what, but it sounds like they're just a toxic couple.
Yeah, there's a mystery to Cormoran that's kind of peeled back layer by layer as the story goes along. I thought that was pretty well done. It's not just front loading character and then having it carry on, but
it was well done. But again, it was just very predictable, and you knew everything that was going to come. There was no surprise to any of it. And it's just give us something more here. Dole it out like you did, but there had to been something more to it. Some sort of plot twist to that.
Yeah, because he's, I don't know, I don't know if we have to follow, there's so much repetitive stuff in this book. I don't know if we have to go, note
we don't have to
note.
go chapter by
but,
chapter.
yeah, basically, he's, his fiancée, Charlotte, he he and her have had an on again, off again relationship, and basically she's a massive drama queen,
but a very wealthy drama queen.
Yeah.
So that
And
which helps
yeah.
her kind of keep her power over him to say, you need me because I'm basically, you're freeloading off of me. And then she feels like she has permission just to be a total jerk to him and jerk him around and do all sorts of stuff to him that just sets him off. And then they fight, and then they make up, and then they fight.
Yeah. So yeah, she feeds off chaos. He's already naturally a chaotic person, and she just has a way of bringing out the worst in him.
And we learn about when they first met. She, is this total bombshell of a woman. He's just kind of a mess even then because he's just gone. Had he just gone back from the war, where he lost his leg? I think so.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't remember the exact timeline.
But anyways, he kind of puts himself down, saying, "Oh, I'm this oaf of a guy that's just overly hairy." And here's this hot woman, and he gets drunk and hits on her, and she goes out with him. But he finds out that the whole idea was to piss off her boyfriend at that time because he had kind of pissed her off for whatever stupid reason, and so she was just trying to start drama, and he ended up being good enough in bed that she's like, I'll keep him around, essentially.
Yeah, and rather than move in with her, because he's got a mountain of debt. His father, he owes money. We find out he owes money to his father.
Yeah, who's a famous rock star.
He's a famous rock star. He's the bastard child of a rock star because he banged a groupie and sired a kid, which was Cormoran. And so he's kind of like in a stalemate with this guy he's not really close to, and his business is failing. He has no clients. He's not making money. But Charlotte says, move in with me, and rather than do that, he decides to end the engagement, essentially making himself homeless.
He had moved in, but I said there was some sort of fight, and it's the first time he left her. Yeah. Because every time she had left him, but then would somehow manipulate the situation so he would have to crawl back to her because she liked that power dynamic of that toxicity of power of forcing him to have to crawl back. But because he left her, he said that's the true end to that relationship. And of course, she's still trying to play power games with him, and it's never really resolved in this book.
We never actually meet Charlotte in the book.
Yeah, other than
there's a phone call where she talks to Robin. Yeah.
But she's trying to manipulate him by saying, "Oh, I'm going back with my ex-boyfriend. We're going to get married in 3 weeks," and so which sends Cormoran off on a drunk thing, and then but within a couple of days, he's banging a supermodel.
Yeah, the best way to get over somebody is to get on top of somebody else.
Who also and it's like I'm expecting this whole thing, to blow up because he's getting photographed with the supermodel going into an apartment and then leaving and all this stuff. So it's like it's in the, as Robin finds out, it's in the papers the next day that he's basically banging the supermodel. And the whole thing with Charlotte never comes up again. It just drops it. I'm like, we couldn't even have some sort of tension to get us into the next book on that aspect. I mean, I agree. We're 20 minutes in here and we haven't even talked about the murder yet, really.
Yeah, we're just giving Cormoran backstory to set it while all this is going on, he's investigating a murder.
Yeah, but this romance book was just way out of line putting this murder stuff in the way.
We also find out Robin's fiance is kind of a dick. He's very the jealous type.
Yes and no. I get where her boyfriend's coming from. It's like, hey, you're gonna get this, well-paying job, and you're working for this creep that is a day drunk who's living in his office, and sounds like he's a really bad investigator. And I don't think he quite understood. Yeah, because I mean, think about it. If you have a girlfriend who's going to this bad part of town and doing potentially dangerous work, where Robin's fielding death threats on a strike, Cormoran.
Yeah, that's another plot point that went nowhere.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping, because there's 6 books in the series now, I'm really hoping that comes into fruition. I hope that we meet Strike's father and we get more Charlotte backstory, because it's all from Strike's point of view. Maybe things are different from Charlotte's, but yeah, right now what we get is what Strike has disclosed.
but but again, Robin's working for this guy who can barely pay her week to week. She's basically working for essentially free, compared to what her talents are, because she's doing, a ton of the legwork for him. And like even he's saying, like, yeah, she is way out of my price range for what the initiative she's willing to take and the intuition she has on following clues.
And she essentially decides, like, as the book goes on, like, she's going to basically, like, con the temp agency, and while she's looking for full-time work herself, she's going to stay on with Cormoran and investigate the case.
And again, it's, we're spoiling. We do spoilers, up front all the time, but basically she figures out how much Cormoran can actually pay her, takes like 5% off that, says, if you pay me this, I'll just keep working for you. And because when they solve the case, he gets newspaper famous, so all of a sudden clients start coming in and they're going to actually make some money potentially.
Yep. Yeah, he's worried about, like, he's, by the end of the book, like, it's kind of predictable. Like, he goes from, zero to hero. He solves a major case single-handedly that even the cops had overlooked, and all of a sudden he's a celebrity in his own right, and he's got more business than he knows what to do with, so he's able to keep Robin on, and like they have this great chemistry, and they work together really well.
And it's, again, Rowling just trying to make some sort of sexual tension between them, but it kind of falls flat because both of them are like, no, that's not what this is.
Yeah, like, I don't know, there's a scene in a dress shop where he's like uncomfortable because she looks so beautiful in the dresses, but then again, like, at the same, like, there seems to be like a mutual attraction at the same time. Like, she finds out he bangs a supermodel and it doesn't even faze her. So but then again, she's engaged, so it's sort of like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, but again, it's like there's this potential, but they're both unavailable, emotionally unavailable or physically unavailable to each other. I was like, but it doesn't have to have that tension for this duo to go. Why don't we just kind of put that aside? And if you want to do that in a later book, I mean, you already got so much going on as it is.
Yeah, it'd be almost better if they hadn't been any sort of attraction. It could have just been a partnership.
Kind of like the Mackenzie book there.
Mackenzie and Gennaro?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that book started off, that series started off, like, Gennaro was unavailable because she was, like, coming out of an abusive relationship and wasn't emotionally available to start out anything. And, they're dating by the time Gone Baby Gone comes along, but it's, that's over the course of 4 books.
Yeah.
Whereas this is, everything's happening all at once.
Yeah, so I say, I could see it drawn out over multiple books, but throwing it in there as like, oh, this is a potential to happen. It's like no, we don't need this right now.
Yeah, because like we said at the beginning, this book is very bloated for 450 pages, which is not a daunting length of a book. This one felt like, I don't know, I kept telling Joe, like, J.K. Rowling's an author I used to, like, I was that kid with a blanket over his head, sitting in bed with a flashlight reading her books and just, like, over and over again, loving every page. And this book, I read a page and a half and I'm, snoring away. It was very hard to get through.
Yeah, this is another one of those podcasts where Alex is literally on the way here trying to finish the book so we can record.
I finished it at work, okay? I had it on audiobook. I was crushing it. I didn't read the back of the book. I'm not going to. We're just going to explain it. But the biggest lie this book has told is the one where it says engrossing, a page turner. Robert Galbraith has added a singular new voice to crime fiction. All of that is false. Book's fine. None of that is true, though. It is not engrossing. It is not a page turner.
It is a very slow burn. Like Alex said, let's get into the actual plot here, where we're trying to solve a murder, but there's no action. It's just we get a list of suspects, and it's kind of. I thought it was kind of obvious who the red herrings were. Like we have DB Mac, the rapper.
Yeah.
You have the neighbors downstairs where you have a big time producer and his wife.
The Bestigouis.
Yeah. You have Sommet.
Oh, Guy Sommet.
Yeah, Guy Sommet, who does fashion. He's a fashion designer. You have the boy on again, off again boyfriend for Lula.
Was his name like Eric or something like?
No, I forget what it was.
Gosh. Yeah. But yeah,
he's a drugged out
rock star. Yeah.
Not even a rock star. He's more of just one of those people that kind of like a Kardashian, where they're just famous for being famous.
Yeah.
And then you have Lula's family, because she's an adopted child. She's a black woman that was adopted by a wealthy white family. Basically, the mother and father. The father's dead. Mother's dying of cancer. She had a half brother and another half brother before she was adopted. Or I guess adopted brother, not really half brothers, but who died. And this is who Corman knew, was that Charlie, who died when he was a young teenager in a quarry, abandoned quarry.
He fell into a quarry. He was an old friend of Cormoran's.
He had John, the middle brother. And again, all three kids are adopted. The mother and father couldn't have kids. They were wealthy family, lawyers. John becomes a lawyer, dating the secretary.
He's dating his secretary, and he's working for his uncle.
Yeah, his uncle, and who's the other partner? There's another partner. The wife gets brought in a little bit of that partner, and there's a whole weird love triangle going on.
Yeah, it's not super duper important to the
story.
actual story.
But it's more of a red herring, or attempted red herring to kind of thing. But the uncle is a suspect because he's super racist and hates the adopted kids because he doesn't want all the money to go to them. Even though we find out there's really no money in the family except for what Lula's made.
Yeah, because she's made a lot of money.
Yeah.
She's a very beautiful woman, and she's a highly in-demand model. And she's.
But as we find out, this is this Lawyer family is old money. So even though she's worth a lot of money, to them it's not that much money. Like, it wouldn't change their lives, kind of money. It's more like, oh, we already have that money. It's just going to make us add a little bit more to our yearly interest rates that we make.
Yeah, and John Landry is the brother who hires Cormoran to investigate the death because he's insisting it was murder and not suicide. And there's other characters too. There's Raquel, who is a druggy friend that Lula met in mental health counseling, and there's Lula's biological mother, who's just total scumbag. Well, all these characters are scumbags, by the way.
Yeah, they are pretty some level of scumbag, but basically Lula, before leading up to her murder, is trying to figure out who her real friends are, who's selling her information, because she realizes people are selling stories about her. So she's telling all of her supposed friends different stories to see which one's making it in the headlines, to see who she can trust. And she's in a search for her biological parents. She wants to know who her parents were, so she can finally feel connected, because with her wealthy white family, she doesn't have that connection with them. And everyone says, oh, her and her adopted mother are this really close thing, but then you hear other people saying, oh no, she hated her adopted mother because she was so controlling, and a lot of back and forth of what family drama, what's true, what isn't, kind of stuff. But we don't really know who's telling the truth, because everyone has their own interest over this woman that was murdered, and they're all trying to make their own money off of her, essentially.
Yeah, you get the picture that Lula lived, even though she was in this public spotlight and had all the friends that money can buy, she seemed a very lonely person. So it kind of develops where, it starts off like, oh, this is obviously a suicide, but then he talks to more and more people, and it's like, oh, this is murder. Okay. She definitely was killed.
I mean, it was kind of obvious that she was killed, because otherwise we wouldn't have this story here.
Yeah, absolutely. But yes.
Though I guess there was one point where I'm like, well, maybe it was a suicide, because let's subvert expectations that sometimes they do. So yeah, it actually was a suicide, but it was pretty clear that no, there's going to be a murder here.
And like the person who claimed to be a witness to a fight that happened, she claimed she was in her like the Tansy Bistigui, the downstairs neighbor, claimed she was in the bathroom, and saw her fall past the window, even though it was physically impossible because the balcony wasn't in line with the bathroom
because
window.
there was a
And she
couple
had
lines there was
she had
lines
some
of cocaine
her
in the bathroom.
Yeah, so she, and also it was soundproof glass, and she 2 floors down, and she was claiming she was hearing an argument.
But we later find out that she was locked outside on the balcony of their floor, being forced to sleep because her husband is an abusive piece of shit.
Yeah, basically, she's divorcing her husband, and she's basically kind of keeping a secret.
Yeah,
so that
she's
she can
blackmailing him to get a bigger cut.
settlement. Yeah,
bigger settlement.
and so and he knows that this is a witness, and like it would have drastically changed the case. However, he's protecting his own skin of being a domestic abuser because he's already got a bad rep. He was described as being this like horribly ugly, pockmarked person. I'm like, she's describing Harvey Weinstein, isn't she?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and then
and
yeah,
it's like, and we get the idea that, well, he was chasing after Lula, but was he chasing after her to try to better her, or did he just want her because she's famous and he knew it would be good to put her in movies because that's going to sell movie tickets? And we find out eventually that no, it was he just wanted her in the movies because he wanted her and DB Mac the rapper, because there's all this drama between them even though they had never met, and he figured that would be good publicity for a movie, whatever movie he's putting out. He didn't care what movie they were going to be in. He just wanted the two of them in together because that was going to make a blockbuster movie. So we find out that, yeah, he's a piece of shit human being, but it was just, he had nothing to do with it. He just wanted, he had no interest in betting her like he had most of his other female stars.
Yeah, so neither one of them are like, they're quickly both ruled out as being the killer because one's locked outside, the other is clearly in his room, and he is lying about what he saw and what his wife saw so that he can cover his own skin. So that blows it wide open. That makes it very clear that this was a murder, so they got to figure out who the killer is and who was having an argument with her.
And so Strike makes friends with a security guard that was on duty that night, and whenever the producer's out of town, he lets Corman in and kind of goes over the different scenes, go through each of the apartments, because there's 3 apartments on 3 levels. You have what's the name? Bistigües. You have an empty apartment that Biggie Mac was going to be in, and then you had Lula's apartment on the 3rd floor.
I don't know, they're figuring out like how someone could have gotten into
there's security cameras, there's locked doors, but we also know that there was a security guy that was in there that was checking the security, doing his quarterly checks of security. It was not a guy that they normally had. There was the cleaning lady who doesn't speak English, so that she knew more than people realized, but because no one could speak whatever language she spoke, I forget what country she was from, but they just ignored her. But Strike is able to get enough out of her to realize, hey, I kind of know, I got a witness here that knows who could have done it if you know how to talk to her.
Yeah, he's and like she doesn't speak English, so it's like she doesn't have the full story of what's going on, but it at least places a suspect of his in the vicinity.
Yeah, and then we get the other suspects, like the boyfriend, but the supermodel that Strike sleeps with is basically able to say, yeah, get him a meeting with that guy, and we discover that, yeah, no, he probably didn't do it. He's a screw up and a total fuck up, but he actually, he loved Lula, and yeah, he was selling her stories to make a little side cash to stay relevant. But otherwise,
he's a fuck up, but not a killer.
Yeah, he wasn't going to kill him. He was just, again, toxic personality with another toxic personality and clashing all the time.
Yeah. Then we also had we meet Guy Sommet a couple times. He's a very
flamboyant
person who's very demanding, and he's almost like a caricature of a fashion designer. Like, picture what a fashion designer is, and he's that guy. He's basically Elton John if Elton John designed clothing, and he's like he portrays himself as one of Lula's closest confidant. That's where we get the term Cuckoo from Cuckoo's Calling, because he calls her Cuckoo, and they have a close relationship. And like, his big contribution to the case is they find out that Lula had bought a bunch of bags that he had made. Well, he made a bunch of clothing that comes into account. So he made a bunch of handbags that have removable linings. He made DB Mac a sweatshirt that had
A whole clothing line, actually.
yeah.
But the sweatshirt is key.
Yeah, the sweatshirt is key. It's a one of a kind sweatshirt with like DB Mac's like song lyrics on it that someone had been seen wearing while
Fleeing the scene.
Through that was recorded on CCTV, which for you American listeners is a
Big Brother.
Yeah, London has Big Brother basically. Yeah, and then he also designed a weird like a fur coat that Raquel was wearing that she had no business wearing because it was a $1,500 coat and she's essentially homeless.
Yeah. So again, it's a lot of just dreary interviews with all these characters that don't have a lot to say. It's a lot of repeated information, and the whole time you're just thinking, like, can we get on with this? We already know this information. Or the information we got here is not important.
Yeah, there are at least like 6 scenes in the first 2 parts of the book that are Cormoran sitting down in some sort of restaurant with a person of interest and interviewing them. And
He's interviewing the security guard, Lula's driver, Raquel,
the Bistigui,
Bistiguis.
Mrs. Bistigui.
Yeah. The wife of one of the partners for the law firm.
Lula's biological mother.
Yeah.
Like it all takes place in restaurants.
Yeah. Well, the biological mother was at her by her bedside because she's dying of cancer. So
no, that's the adoptive mother.
Oh, the adoptive
mother. Biological mother.
Biological mother. Yeah.
Was at a water bar or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, it's like there's some scene changes. Like, oh, one's in a bar, one's in a 5-star restaurant, one's at McDonald's. But yeah, it's all just like I'm gonna sit down, have some food with this person, and get their story.
And granted, I get that this is probably more realistic at how an actual private investigator works. But for a story, it's just it got tedious and boring.
Yeah, like you'd think there would be something, like somebody actively trying to stop Cormoran from doing his investigation, and like we find out the killer was trying to like sabotage it a little bit, but really like he's not getting death threats, he's not having run-ins with an anonymous henchman.
The closest we're getting to it is the racist uncle trying to stop it because he's like, this is a waste of time, he's making a fool of himself, he needs to let it go. And it's kind of setting it up like you knew it wasn't going to be the uncle because everything was pointing there at the uncle having done it. Basically, the excuse was, oh, he'll get the inheritance, which again, he's like, I don't need the money. John needs the money because he's penniless because his adoptive father and his adoptive mother blew all their money, but he's working for a law firm. So even though he's not the family money wealth that he could have, he is set for life if he keeps working his ass off like he does already.
Yeah, but he's a spoiled rich kid and doesn't want to.
Yeah. And I don't know if we want to kind of start heading towards the finish line here. I was kind of annoyed with the ending.
Yeah, I was too. There's like I'd say the last like 100 pages or so is pretty good. Yeah. But it doesn't make up for the previous chunk of book.
He started ratcheting up the tension finally. He's like Corman trying to get the interview with the adoptive mother because she's on her deathbed.
And Raquel gets murdered.
Yeah, Raquel gets murdered. And so we know the stakes are getting higher. But we get to the final scenes. Corman sends Robin away because he's like, hey, shit's about to happen. We're about to get the killers coming here. I'm going to confront them. And he's got 3 people that are supposed to come meet him potentially. And he's like, I hope the killer comes first, because then I can bag him. If they come second, we're in trouble. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, it's clearly not the uncle because they've been pointing too far at that. I was thinking maybe it's going to be the secretary girlfriend trying to do some cover up. And the whole time I'm thinking is like, being thrown out of a window 3 stories tall, it could kill you, but more likely you're just going to get maimed really bad. And if you do die, it's not going to be instant. Because I said it's 3 stories up. Usually that's just severe breakage of legs. You'd have to So I was wondering if it wasn't like a
Yeah, if you do like a swan dive, like,
yeah,
obviously, but yeah.
which is why they said suicide, because someone that's, and I'm thinking, well, maybe it was like American Dream where someone bashed her head in and then threw her over, but instead of waiting the 2 hours to like they did in the guy did in American Dream, and then throwing her over, which the police were able to say, hey, she died 2 hours before she was out the window. It was immediate, hit her on the head, oh crap, she's dead, okay, just throw her out. So I'm thinking, it's like, maybe it's the secretary is supposed to be doing something because she was spying for the uncle on John. They were playing a double agent kind of thing. And because she's this cold, calculating woman who clearly has no real interest in John, but he's doting over her, and she's kind of just taking it. And it's like, okay, so maybe it's that. Yeah, no, it's John, the guy that hired it, the whole thing. It's like he literally got away with it.
Yeah, but it wasn't the whole thing was it wasn't enough for him to just like kill his sister and get away with it. He had to, because there were a few loose ends he needed to wrap up. So he found,
but nobody was investigating those loose ends.
Yeah, but
nobody cared, because the whole thing of, oh, she's looking for her biological parents, she's still looking for her father, who we find out is dead, but she has a half brother.
Yeah, well, he knew there was a will, and I think he hired Cormoran. Essentially, he was hiring it to investigate whether it was a murder or not, but he was secretly trying to find the will so he could get a hold of that and not lose the $10 million that would have been granted to him.
But again, he was already going to get it.
Yeah, he was going to get it, but if the will turned up, he'd lose it.
But nobody was looking for a will. No, he had possession of all her belongings because he was closest relative, because his mom was too sick to go get it. So he literally had all our stuff.
Yeah, he would have gotten away with it scot-free, but
yeah.
he was panicked and he made a bad decision. And
but again, it's just none of it made sense. With the way his character was portrayed throughout the story, to how he ended up, it didn't it didn't really add up. It wasn't like if Agatha Christie did this story, granted it would have been a lot tighter, a lot shorter, a lot smarter, but she would have set it up where, yeah, you wouldn't have expected it, but you would have been like, I see where A to B to C to D got to E, where this is like, well, Corman knew it the whole time from the moment he got hired, because he had a gut feeling, which is a Hercule Poirot thing. Well, I knew it from the get-go, or that's what it'll claim. But it's like, A to B to C to D didn't bring him to E.
Yeah, there were definitely some leaps of logic to get to John being the killer. And yeah, essentially, he killed her because she wouldn't give him money. And he had hidden DB Mac's apartment because the apartment was vacant. He had put on the sweater that was one of a kind, and then he got caught fleeing the scene wearing that sweater.
But the only evidence that Strike had that could have held up in court, because everything was hearsay otherwise, was the recording he got of John at the very end when he attacked him. And even then, the recording was no good because John never admitted to it.
Yeah, he and John attacked Cormoran because Cormoran gave him told him that he has proof, and he says he gets a warrant for the police to search John's safe at home, which contains Lula's cell phone, which only the killer could have because it was reported missing at the time of death.
And the big thing that Corman did find was the will.
Yeah, so talking about the removable linings in the handbags, he actually, when he visits John's mother, he decides to rifle through the closet, and he removes the lining of a handbag, and the will that Lula had written was...
Which turns out to be no good anyways, because her witnesses that signed it didn't know what they were signing.
Yeah, and it was Raquel was the witness, and she also got killed. So
yeah. And the only other witness didn't know what she was signing.
Yeah. And yeah, so Raquel didn't know what she was signing, and she was like bummed that she wasn't included in the will. So she actually knew that John was the killer and was blackmailing him. That's how she was able to afford her nice coat, because she wanted to get some money for herself. So she was loyal to Lula, but was also out for herself as much as can
so
be.
and then they were all kind of out for themselves. If anything, really, Guy Sommet was probably her only real friend, even though he was using her for good money, basically using her to sell his clothing.
Yeah, but in the will, Lula had left all of her money to her brother, who she had recently discovered existed. So
hadn't really known him yet because
yeah,
they had only met the one time over the phone kind of thing, and
yeah, and they were trying to. One of John's other ideas was to try and pin the murder on the brother. So, like, say that, like, oh, he found out that he's got a rich sister, so he kills her and tries to, rob her or whatever, and it's a meeting gone wrong. But
again,
it's still that was going to be weak no matter what.
Yeah, so the whole thing was such a stretch. It's like, again, we've both read books, that were weaker than this, but this was, again, you're talking an established, well-known author with a whole team of editors behind her. And this is the best she could come up with.
Yeah, and like not one person checked their notes and was like, "I noticed you had 3 restaurant scenes in a row. Maybe we could change that up a little bit."
Yeah, so and I get maybe we're being harsh on this, but it's J.K. Rowling. Controversy aside, is that she's a best-selling, world-class author, and granted, I don't know if you've reread the Harry Potter's books more recently, Alex.
It's been a while.
Reading them again. I read them over the last few years. They're not the greatest novels. The fact that they are as big as they are is more luck than talent, I think. They're not badly written, but they're not well written by any stretch. They're not Shakespeare.
Yeah, they wander and they explore, and like there's more than just the boy who lived.
As a YA novel, they are above average. Especially when we've talked about some of the books that have been written recently.
Yeah, I was actually reading a review of The Silkworm, which is the sequel to Cuckoo's Calling, and they were talking about how that book's also overlong because Rowling spends so much time describing like the London like attractions and cityscapes, and it's like, oh, she spent so much time in her life describing a whole world that existed only in her head. She, for some reason, feels she needs to describe a world that everyone is familiar with already.
Yeah, which is a common problem when a fantasy author tries to jump genres to something like this, and they're going in our world. They're just so used to getting down. Like I heard a saying once, paraphrasing here. It's a fantasy book because they describe every aspect of a feast. It's a sci-fi because they tell you every aspect of a spaceship. They basically give you a blueprint of a spaceship. Yeah. But so she's doing that, describing every aspect of a scene, which in fantasy is something that you had to do for world building. But we're in our world.
Yeah,
so
we're in modern day London.
Yeah.
It's one of the best known cities in the world. Yeah. You don't have to go that detailed.
Yeah, everyone's seen some movie that took place in London in the last 30 or 40 years. I think we can get a good idea of what the skyline looks like.
Yeah, and it's like, do we really need that many descriptions of like the cot he's sleeping on, and the descriptions of like the fact that he leaves his food waste in the trash? Like it's so
there's just so much that was not tight in this book for someone that should have the resources to be able to, and the talent to tighten that up. And again, like the whole reveal of the killer just pissed me off because it's, I get it, I get where you're coming from, but it's all hearsay, it's all circumstantial, it's all tenuously connected. There's no way you can really go back through the book and say, oh yeah, this is a clue right here, this is a clue right here. There's none of that.
Yeah, basically he was just doing a Hail Mary, trying to get him riled up so that he would tip his hand and attack, and which he gets him to do, but it's still.
And remember when we read the Death on Demand, and Annie tries to do that, but she doesn't have it, and it just falls flat on her face.
Yeah,
that was a good subversion right there, doing that.
This one was disappointing to say the least. I was underwhelmed by the writing. the plotting and just the story as a whole. Lots of just sitting and talking, and
Oh, and then you like the cops from the prologue. One of them kind of comes back. The other one almost comes back, but it's like we get these introduction of these kind of interesting sounding cops, and then they become 2-dimensional stereotypes.
yeah, and like every character is just an unlikable scumbag. Maybe like I don't know, J.K. Rowling's. She rags to riches story. She's seen it all. Maybe that's like a societal commentary that, the meth head mother and the well-to-do lawyers are all dirtbags, and like she's seen all walks of life, but it's still like give us someone to root for, basically.
And I mean, Robin, who is the good character that you're kind of rooting for. I'm glad we don't get just her perspective because I think she would have been really annoying. But she's so naive at times, and it's so much just wishy-washy at times.
Yeah, and it is weird she has just natural talent for this because, has no experience doing detective work at all. Yet she can somehow go in, spin narratives, and be all like, when she's trying on the dresses, she's just like talking and pretending to be Australian and getting them to disclose their stories about seeing Lula the day before she died, and then she's like knows how to respect people's like Cormoran's privacy.
Very Nancy Drew.
Yeah, she just naturally knows what to do at all times, which is fine, but at the same time, it's also like
we don't have any backstory of her being a primary school actress kind of thing, or having family from Australia, or all we get is she loved the mystery novels growing up.
Yeah, she's just naturally good at these things, and Cormoran he just always happens to be right. So it's just there's like trying to go realistic with the investigation, but at the same time you're not being real. You're using like fictional whatevers.
Hercule Poirot he just always knows everything, but then he can back it up with, here are the facts that tipped me off. Where this is, I just knew. I had a gut feeling. It's almost very American in that storytelling.
Yeah, that's a good way of describing it. It's like, rolled with my gut. I knew it was you the whole time. And it's like, well, that kind of makes everything that you did for your investigation confirmation bias, but okay.
Okay, so I got some questions for you, Alex.
All right.
Let's see if any of them are still worth. How would you compare Cormoran Strike to other investigators from this genre? And how would you compare him to, like, say, Patrick Kenzie from Gone Baby Gone, or Hercule Poirot, or any of these other famous, like Sam? Was it Sam Spade?
Yeah,
Slade?
Sam Spade.
Spade. Yeah.
Well, I've actually never read. Well, there's only one Sam Spade book, but I never read that. I mean, he's I like Cormoran.
Or even just stuff you've seen on TV.
Yeah. I mean, I like Cormoran. I think he's an interesting character. He's got a lot of layers. Honestly, his this subplot of his personal life is a lot more interesting than the actual storyline. Because it's like, cool, he's the son of a rock star. He got his leg blown off in the war. He's an
investigator in the war, like a military police
lawyer
type.
And he's very reserved and doesn't give away his feelings or emotions. Like
but he's also banging supermodels.
Yeah, he somehow bags a supermodel, and he's but he won't tell. Like, he's like very secretive with Robin, but like Robin's like earns his trust regardless. And so he's a complex character, and he's obviously got big emotions. Like, he finds out Charlotte's engaged, and he goes and gets hammered and everything, but he's still trying to look out for Robin because Robin's drunk babysitting him, and he's making sure that she's in a place where she can't see him at his lowest points. So I think he's a good character. I think he's got not the best debut for him, but I think he's got a chance to shine in future books. I might check out the Silkworm and kind of go from there if it gets better.
If it's a free book, like you said, you might as well read it eventually.
Oh, yeah. I say compare, like, I mean, we talk about Kenzie and Gennaro, two other private investigators. I think Kenzie and Gennaro are better.
Okay. Did you have a secondary character that you enjoyed, or were all the characters just two-dimensional and not well fleshed out?
I mean, there were a lot that weren't fleshed out. I mean, you got some extra added layers, like Tansy Bastigui wound up being a lot more complex because, yeah, she seems like a coke-addled habitual liar to begin with. Then you find out, no, she's the victim of domestic abuse, and she's trying to leverage that to her advantage. But at the same time, she's undergoing a lot of public scrutiny, and like, is she willing to, like, this whole like, will she, won't she of is she willing to disclose what happened to her in order to set things right and things like that? So there's a little more to her. I really liked Guy Sommet as a a
Yeah, I liked him. I thought he was pretty well fleshed out.
Yeah, I think he
had a very unique
good.
voice.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, like I said, every character is just a scumbag, either a methed out degenerate or a very rich degenerate. So it's it got a little annoying just hearing the same thing over and over again. It's you see that with like Law and Order, like just everyone they interrogate is just a total piece of shit, and
I mean,
Mariska Hargitay
is a crime
guardian
story.
Angel.
I mean, so if someone commits murder, it's gonna be a lot of scumbags around.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. It's never just like, oh, this nice person had a bad thing happen to them. It's like, no, there's just all these scumbags around them, and every single person's awful.
See, we kind of answered this, but J.K. Rowling leaving the world of Harry Potter, is this book worth reading, even with her controversies, you think?
I mean, just read what you want to read. That's kind of just where I've always been at. We've read authors who've done way worse things, like Norman Mailer stabbed his wife, like, when we read a book by him. It's not, I mean, whether you agree with her or not, like, it's just, I don't know, if you want to read her stuff, go for it. If you don't, if that's a deal breaker, don't read it. I wouldn't say die on your hill to defend the Cuckoo's Calling. But if, I don't know, if you're into mysteries and you want to give it a shot, go for it. I chose this because I was curious. Like, it's, like, oh, J.K. Rowling. Oh, I know there's a controversial writer. She's a once beloved children's author. Let's see how she does with a mystery. And, just took a shot in the dark. So, if you're curious about a controversial author, I say give it a shot. We read Sherman Alexie. He's also surrounded with controversy. We did Neil Gaiman. So,
well, when we did Neil Gaiman, we didn't know he was going to be surrounded in controversy. So
yeah, but yeah, there's we're all human. So it's I don't agree with.
I'm not Alex. Yeah. I'm a robot.
I don't agree with things that J.K. Rowling said, but I'm still going to read her stuff.
This novel, detective noir genre, where does it fall for you in all the other? Like this genre, like, is this bottom of the barrel, top, compared to what you've watched and read? Like, if you had to make a list of all the crime dramas that you've read and watched, where on the list would that fall, you think? Like, obviously, Agatha Christie, I imagine for you, is going to be near the top.
Yeah, anything near the top or near the bottom, talking about that, this book's not even in the conversation for either one. I think it's just
middle of the road.
Middle of the road, wildly forgettable.
What about like Death on Demand compared to this?
I mean, Death on Demand, like, that wound up being one of my favorite books of season 2, but it's still, I wouldn't say it's top tier or bottom tier.
But that's what I'm saying, knowing that that's kind of middle tier also, where would you rank this compared to that?
This is not as good as Death on Demand. That was tightly written, that had that good balance of suspense and humor to it that I thought this book was going to have that didn't. It is much better than Cuckoo's Calling.
What about Lehane's?
Lehane is a top-tier writer.
Top-tier writer, so he's up there with, in the conversation with Sherlock and Agatha Christie, or maybe not same level, but maybe one tier down.
Yeah, I mean, Arthur Conan Doyle and Agatha Christie, like, the OG mystery writers.
Well, what about, like, for shows like say, Monk or...
Monk. Why'd you start with Monk? God damn it. All the detective shows out there, you went with Monk.
So the first one got to mind is I got the kids watching it.
That's true. Okay, Monk's a good show. All right. Yeah. I mean, again, Monk is one of those shows that balances. Columbo. See, Columbo would be a good one to start with. There's one more thing. He actually even does that a couple times in this book. He does the Columbo one more thing.
Yeah, he does do that.
No, it's I mean, it's hard. I'm gonna say this book is just middle of the road. It's not. I'm not even gonna say it's good. I'm gonna say it's fine. It's whatever. I didn't hate it, but there were like was starting to, check my watch as it was going on, and it's like, all right, we got to wrap this up. The cuckoo clock is calling.
Alright, so anything else you want to say about this book, Alex? It's getting late. We've talked about this book enough, I think.
Yeah, there's not much more to say. I mean, sorry
you
everyone.
Said you're gonna read the next one eventually, just to see, because you got it for free anyways.
Yeah, I'll get around to it eventually. It's definitely not high on my list. I was also gonna, like, I don't know, I was talking about wanting to read the follow up to the Poppy War, but even then, that's not. I don't have that one for free, and I probably wouldn't even read it if I had it for free at this point. Now that we've talked about it more, but yeah, this one. Oh, sorry everyone, that was kind of a bland season 3 opener. Yeah. However,
typical Alex pick.
Yeah, I'm glad we did it. However, I don't know, I can't even say it's worth your time. If you like a slow burn mystery, then this is up your alley. If you want something a little faster paced, read Dennis Lehane. I don't know, he's better.
Okay, so that was the Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Rowling.
Robert K. Rowling. J.K. Galbraith.
So next month is going to be my pick. And
is it going to be epic?
It's not going to be epic, but
or is it going to be meh pick?
It's going to be a fast-paced thriller of a ride. This book is going to be very hit or miss for people, I think. I've started, obviously, and I am really enjoying it almost as much as the first time I read it. Alex, I think you're going to like it. I think someone like Becky or Haley would absolutely hate it. Because I have picked my favorite genre, which is science fiction, but a very niche subgenre of military science fiction.
Yeah, Joe chose a lot of science fiction for this season, guys. Buckle up for some world building and long episodes.
You're welcome. But this book I picked, a very unknown, underrated book, I think.
It's not on audiobook, so I got my work cut out for me.
Yeah, Alex is going to have to work hard on this one. But it is called Death's Head by David Gunn. And I said it's going to be military science fiction, and it is quite the ride. I don't know if, Alex, have you read any military science fiction?
I read Starship Troopers.
Okay, that counts. But it is a subgenre that is usually geared towards young men of a certain persuasion that are nerdy and like military stuff and space battles and all that stuff. And this book is gonna definitely tickle that itch for anyone that enjoys that. So I hope you enjoy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. It's about the same length as Cuckoo's Calling, but I think it's
450 pages. Yeah.
I think it'll be a lot more fast-paced.
It's like definitely fast-paced. I said, I'm about halfway through my reread of it, and even the quote-unquote slow bits are going much fast, or not dragging like they did in this book. So
you know what they say? Easy reading is damn hard writing. So I think if that's a fast, easy read, then he's probably worth it checking out.
But that will be next month's book. Let's see. Let's try to remember what I'm supposed to say for my outro here. Let's see if I can get it all.
It's season 3.
It's been a while.
It's season 3. Will Joe get all of our plugs?
Okay, we'll start with the Instagram. We have an Instagram at Kindle Bookworms. If you want to DM us there, you can. If you join us there, you follow us there. So we don't do a lot on there, but just remind people of every episode that we're putting out. We do post 2 episodes a month. On the 5th, we do our main feed books that me and Alex go back and forth. We both picked 8 books for this season. And then on the 20th, we do bonus books where we don't announce ahead of time what it's going to be, but it's either something one or both of us have read that we just have a burning desire to talk about. Occasionally we'll interview an author, or we'll get our guest speakers to come on to discuss their favorite books. Thank you, Becky and Haley, for filling in season 2 so often.
Yeah. No thanks to Adam.
No thanks to Adam. Yeah, screw that guy.
He'll insist.
Let's see. We have an email, kindlebookworms@gmail.com. You can get a hold of me there if you would like. just so you know that Alex doesn't do any of the social media stuff. He just shows up, having just barely finished the book, and then, rags on the book for a while, especially if it was one of my picks. Then he goes home and does nothing. I basically do everything here. Let's see. What else do we have, Alex? We're on Spotify and Apple, so make sure you rate us and leave comments on those so that it helps get our show out to the masses. We are a niche, weird, horrible podcasting duo here, but we do like to talk books, and we want other people that might enjoy our books to also find us. So give us a hand here.
And if you listen to this full hour just to hear Joe call us horrible podcasters,
you're welcome.
Yeah, don't worry. We agree with you.
We got faces made for radio and voices made for silent movies. Oh, let's see. I have a Medium and Substack where I write reviews for books that we do not cover on this podcast. Though, if any books on my Medium get 100 reads, Alex is going to have to read that book and we'll discuss it. I'm
really excited to do this thing I never agreed to.
Yeah, this is Alex got told he was doing this. We have one book that is getting close, Between Two Fires. It's actually a book I think Alex would enjoy. If it doesn't make it, maybe we'll have to just do an episode on it anyways, but hopefully that gets 100 reads. Alex has to read it for a bonus episode this season. Let's make it happen, people. I have faith in you. Alex has books for sale on Amazon. That'll be in the link below. Alex, what books do you have?
We have The Destroyer and Paul Plimpton versus Ragnarok.
Yeah, and when are we going to get a third book from you, Alex? When are we going to re-release one of your lost copies?
Hopefully by
season
give me
8 or 9?
Give me a due date. When do you want the sequel to The Destroyer to come back out?
Let's put it out in November.
November's copy.
We're in time for the Christmas season, so people can buy their loved ones a book written by their favorite podcaster, and it'll be give you plenty of time to actually get this done, Alex. So
right,
November.
that works. That works. It's currently December. This episode comes out in February, so yeah, let's do it.
I'm going easy on you, Alex.
I thought you were gonna say like March. I'm like, oh, shit.
I'm not that cruel. I'm cruel, but not that cruel. Let's see. What else do we got, Alex? Anything?
I think you got it all.
I got it all? Okay. We're hosted by Podbean. Not that anyone cares. We are on all the major podcast apps. We're on YouTube if you want to listen to us there. No video, just audio. Being that it's just me and Alex thing, and we do not...
we do not own cameras.
Well, we do own cameras, but we do not own the editing software to do that properly. So...
Yeah, free editing software usually includes a watermark that covers your entire video, so we don't worry about it.
Yeah, no. And nor do we either of us have time because we're both busy. Alex has multiple jobs. I have multiple jobs and getting an MBA. So we're busy. Alex, let's get out of here.
All right. Well, that was the Cuckoo's Calling. Hopefully our episode was more interesting than the book. I think it was. Definitely shorter. Tune in next time for Death's Head. And until the next time, I'm Alex.
And I'm Joe.
This has been Bookworms.
Out.